leaders of the world. Welcome to Spread Love in Organizations, a podcast for purpose-driven healthcare leaders striving to make life better around the world by leading their teams with genuine care, servant leadership, and love. I'm Naji, your host for this special episode from our new series focused on us as leaders. I'm joined by Theresa Hummel-Krallinger, an Emmy Award-winning comedian, well-respected senior training professional, and performance consultant, founder of High Five Performance, but it's really her work as a humorist and motivational speaker that sets her apart. Known for her lively and interactive presentation style, she is a frequently requested speaker on topics on leadership, career management, organizational culture, and workplace communications. Theresa is the past president of the Greater Philadelphia chapter of Association for Talent Development, ATD, and is the past president for a local Toastmasters club. She has been a featured speaker at numerous regional and international conferences. She facilitates Meet the Author at the Pyramid Club, which has been named on one of the top 10 best networking associations by the Philadelphia Business Journal. She won an Emmy in 2019 for her work on the PBS talk show Counterculture. Theresa, I am so excited and honored to have you with me today.
I am honored to be with you because you know what's so cool? We are like-minded business professionals, my friend. We are.
Thank you. We are. We definitely are. Look, I never started with this question, but I can't but start with it. What is it like to win an Emmy Award?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, never in my lifetime did I think that would ever happen. But I have a dear friend who, Grover Silcox, who has been working in television and radio most of his career. And he started this wonderful talk show called Counterculture. And he said, Theresa, I'm going to need to book a lot of guests. And you know a lot of people. And he said, first of all, I want you to be a guest on the show. But second of all, I'm going to need help finding all of these interesting people to book on the show. And I said, I am happy to do that. So I became part of the team. And we met at a diner. We actually taped at a diner in Hatboro, Pennsylvania. We brought a whole film crew out, taped the whole show, and we would do 2 shows, 6 guests. And I went to a lot of the tapings, which was really fun. So all that to say, it's a great show. It was nominated, it won, and it is up for an Emmy again this year.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Long answer to that.
Hope again this year.
I know. She needs a partner on her little show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, unfortunately, on podcast, they can't see it. I can see it. It's beautiful. Congrats again.
Oh, there you go. That's right. I'm like pointing to it. You guys can't even see me pointing to it. There you go.
Theresa, I'd love to go back now in time and really hear your personal story, your personal journey from being a comedian to corporate world and now founding and actually being a leadership coach and executive coach for many of the leaders in different corporations. I would love to hear your story.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it really short. Because I'm not young, it could get very long. I've been around for a while,
no.
but it's interesting. When I first embarked on my career, my thought was I would work in pharmaceuticals because I was a biology and chemistry major undergrad. Merck is literally a stone's throw from here. It is within half a mile of where I grew up. So I thought I would be working in Merck Pharmaceuticals and doing science-related work, probably working in a lab. That did not happen. Sometimes the universe has other plans for us. So I couldn't get in at Merck, but I could get in at Prudential. So here I am, with all my science knowledge, getting an office job at Prudential, but it was a blessing because that is where I fell into corporate training, organizational development, human resources, risk management. So Prudential not only paid for my training to do what I do, but provided me with a wonderful opportunity to gain experience. So hung out there for 18 years. Then when I left, went out on my own and swore I'd never work for another company again. Guess what? I did. I worked for another company, pharmaceutical. So it comes full circle. Here I am. I get a job with Almac, which is a wonderful pharmaceutical organization based out of Northern Ireland. And there I am the head of training and OD for North America. stayed for 6.5 years, hopped out, still have a great relationship with them. And now I'm doing all of this on my own. So, but the beauty is I got a lot of really good experience training, working at both Prudential and also at Almac, who have fine leaders and wonderful organizations.
Yeah, and training is obviously a passion you have. And you talked about pharmaceutical, and I know when we discussed before, you have this passion of helping people. So how do you define today your purpose?
Oh, it's interesting because companies hire me to help kind of groups of employees very often. But my mind is always in thinking of how can I help each individual person be all that they can be. So if I'm doing a workshop for 15 to 20 people, very often I offer a conversation after the training, because individually I want to hear, how did this resonate for you? Where do you need to grow? How can I help provide you with a resource or a connection, or even open your mind to see possibilities that you don't see? And you know what, Ajay, I can't even help myself but do that. I did it in a cab in Las Vegas. I'm in a cab in Las Vegas. And this guy had a wonderful voice. I said, listen to your voice. You have a wonderful voice. You could do radio or voiceover. And he said, Theresa, everybody tells me that, but I don't know where to begin. Guess who I'm emailing? I'm emailing the cab driver. Here's where you can go for classes. Wow. These are other people that do voiceover. I can't even help myself.
That's great. That's who you are and how you would love always to bring an impact on people. So that's, yeah.
I can't even help myself.
And I've seen, in with High Five, like one of the promises you're bringing is providing solutions that improve performance, productivity, bottom line results. Any common thread when you are going there and coaching and helping those organizations be better? Any common thread on leadership, for example, that you would always come and help them see it and do it?
I think it's getting them to see their choices and their behaviors through the lens of 3 questions. So one of the things that's exhausting about being a leader is all day long you're making decisions, right? Like all day long, like here's another choice, here's another choice, here's another choice. And it's exhausting. But I narrow it down to these 3 choices. First is really think through, what is the outcome you want? And not from a place of ego, because your ego might want a very different kind of outcome. But what is the outcome that would be best in this situation? The second question is, how would you respond if you're coming from a place of love? How would you respond if you're coming from a place? Meanwhile, somebody's driving you crazy, right? Somebody is just like, you want to get violent. But pause and ask yourself, how would I respond if I'm coming from a place of love? And I love this question. I can think of one particular leader who is such a high driver and so short on patience. But he asked this question and it grounds him. And the third one, because I'll forget if I don't say it, is who is the leader you need to be in this moment? Who is the leader you need to be in this moment? Those 3 questions are very grounding and perspective setting for leaders.
These are definitely powerful questions to reflect on.
Yeah.
And you've seen this, I imagine, through different industries. You've seen leaders who are leading high-performing teams. Yep. They have this, I love how you framed it. How would you respond from a place of love? You are seeing this constantly across the board, different organizations. Any specificities on really high-performing teams or leaders who really went into this transformational journey and are able now to lead their teams into high performance to achieve their purpose?
Absolutely. Oh my God, there's so many stories. But I'm going to start with a story that organizationally made the shift from just managing clinical trials and writing software, but actually being employee focused and recognizing that when you take care of your employees and create a culture where they thrive, everything else falls into place. So this is an organization, we're looking at early 2000s. I start doing some training work with them. And all of a sudden they just ran into a really rough year where they lost over 50% of their employees. And when I say lost, they didn't get lost. They left. Like they went somewhere else. So one of the things that was interesting is the question they asked is, why are they leaving? Right? Najee, that seems like a very legitimate question. Why are they leaving? I ask a very different question. Why aren't they staying? Why aren't they staying? Leaders need to determine what is a compelling reason to work for our organization. Yeah. Now, we all need to get paid, right? So across the board, people can say, well, we pay them. It's bigger than getting paid. What is the differentiator? What makes your organization a place that people want to work, that they want to spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day? What is that for your company? So that was really at the heart of what we did with this organization, because there's a lot of big pharmaceutical companies in our area where people can work. And it's kind of nice when you go to a J&J or a Merck or Bristol Myers Squibb, because there's a lot of opportunity, right? There's thousands of employees. This company doesn't have thousands of employees, but yet still had the same really specialized skill set: clinical project managers, biostatisticians, really hardcore computer programmers, testers, risk management professionals. How do you get them to come and stay? And we came up with a plan, and it was all coming from a place of love. It was all, let's get our managers trained. Let's teach these folks that were really good professionals as developers, project managers. Let's teach them how to manage staff. 12-month curriculum, the best tools in the industry that are out there, and common language. So we trained them. Reward and recognition program, compensation study and revamp, including 80% of staff getting bonuses, right? Involving leaders in the training, directors, VPs, and the president delivered training. They didn't say, go forth, Theresa, make it happen. I did a lot, but there were classes. The president of the organization facilitated a workshop. When does that happen? Right? 100% participation in professional development planning, including career guidance. Getting them to see, how do you navigate through the organization if you can? How do you create a job that doesn't exist? And we had 3 teams: culture committee, focusing on the mission, vision, values, and employee engagement. We had a recreation team. They did sports, picnics, and group outings. And we had a community service team where they adopted one nonprofit every year, and then they supported local community work. All of that stuff is built around what? Love. Maybe not the compensation, although when you get it, you feel love.
yeah, but there's many studies like compensation, you just remember them for a couple of days. Like even incentives, it's all that is behind that is making it, right?
And here's what I love about this story. Within 2 years, turnover was reduced to just under 20%, which is healthy for where they were. And they made Best Place to Work Pennsylvania. So they went from being an organization just struggling to hold on to people to being a place where what I call an employer of choice, a place people wanted to work. But it wasn't one thing, right? It wasn't like, okay, well, we'll just pay people well. No. It was this list of things that we did.
And from a results standpoint, business results?
What was beautiful about this, I remember watching their profit and their revenue. It was just a straight up trajectory for a number of years. Now, here's the not so happy part of the story. is sometimes companies get comfortable when they start winning best place to work. Sometimes comfortables kind of focus on other stuff. Well, they fell off the wagon and they didn't win best place to work after winning it, I think 3 or 4 years in a row. They fell off the wagon, and there were certain things that they did or didn't pay as much attention to that allowed the culture to drift.
Yeah, and I love this idea, on what you're saying after 4 years. But I want to go back to specifically this moment where you convinced them or you helped the leader see it. Because many times, and this is why I asked you about business results. I'm, the name of the name of our podcast kind of say it all, right? We believe in this to get results. We believe in spreading love to get results. But many times, in the beginning, people, when results are bad, as you said, you have very high turnover. Usually we go back to very old things we know, like just focus on results, metrics, KPIs, and that's it, right? Like usually this is the first reaction we do. And you went with them in an opposite way on saying, well, what, like go on people and results will come as a result. How did you convince those leaders?
I can still see us in this meeting room. First of all, they're looking at me and they're exhausted. They're exhausted because when you have that much turnover, there's work that has to be done by the remaining people. Plus, as you hire people, you're trying to do that and train the new people. So they're exhausted. Here's one thing that I've learned, and it has gone through my whole career. Pain drives change. Pain drives change. Now, if they were making good money, they weren't in pain, all of those things I just suggested to you, they'd be like, right, maybe they'd buy one of them. But I asked them before I even told them what we need to do. I'm like, do you believe that we can turn things around and make things better? Broken eye contact. No, look at me. Do you believe that we can turn this around and make things better? Yes. I want to hear it from your soul. Yes, yes. So I get you, because if they don't believe, Najee, we can't even try. Like, why bother? You have to believe. So, okay, now that you believe, are you all willing to be part of the solution? Every one of you, vice presidents, president, directors, are you all willing to be part of the solution? Yes. Then let's get going. Here's what it looks like. And there's no silver bullet, but training your managers is number one. Getting your managers comfortable in their role is number one. Giving them the tools to do that well. And all the other things just help to support it. So, yeah. So I'm glad you asked the question, because I remember that day. I can still see their faces. And I'm like, we can do this, but do you believe it?
Yeah, and starting with training managers, coaching the coaches, right?
Yes.
Like this is so important, because this is how you build the culture and how you make sure that it's spread all across.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when they faced, as you said, like 4 years after, well, they're not best place to work. How did they react to it? Like they went back to the roots of what you did?
You know what? This really stayed alive for a good 2 to 3 years. Like it really, like all of it, like people were in the management training. They went, they didn't find excuses not to go. People enjoyed the bonus program. 80% of the staff now were bonus eligible. It wasn't a guarantee that you'd get it, but if we hit certain financial targets, you'd get it. Getting the employees involved in the 3 teams, culture committee, recreation team, community service, they're part of the solution. They're driving the things that, recreation and community service, a little bit extracurricular, but culture committee is really keeping leadership's feet to the fire, So all of those things kept things going. But like anything, when things are going really well, right? There's no pain. You start to slip a little bit. It's almost like losing a lot of weight, and then I'll have a cookie because I lost all the weight. See, you start to slip. But it was it's a great case study
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was a great experience.
And you say pain drives change. I'm with you, on this. But sometimes, before the pain, right? Like
Mhm.
you need to drive those changes. And this is,
Yes.
what we're trying to do. What you do, obviously, with many corporations. What I'm trying to inspire with this podcast and having amazing people like you. How is there a way where that you can get people together before the pain
Yeah.
for them to be convinced about this?
Yeah. And you look at something that they either there's a goal that they need to achieve that's a stretch, right? Or there's a something that needs to be fixed, or maybe it's something that they just enjoy. Like when you make Best Place to Work, that's kind of it's like an ego boost for the leaders. You're part of that. You're driving this company. So for those companies that aren't in pain, like they don't have employees leaving, they're meeting their financial goals, you can still find those things like that make them crazy or that they wish were different.
Yeah.
And you can get them to embrace some of this stuff for that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. And going to the next level, of their
Yeah.
performance, of getting to their initial purpose.
Yeah. And now some leaders just want to do this because it's the right thing. I've had, there was one gentleman and he was from Northern Ireland. It was just before I started doing a lot of work with ALMAC. And I did all of this work to show him return on investment, like financially return on investment. And he said, like, Theresa, just wait. I just want the manager, and it's a lovely Irish accent. I just want the managers to feel comfortable in their jobs. I just want, and I'm just like, really? That's what you want? I said, they're very bright people. They just need to be trained how to be a manager. Can you do that? I'm like, yes, I can.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a leader who's like not looking for the financial gain. He's looking at it like, these people are brilliant, but they just don't know how to manage staff. Let's help them.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the first? What is the first thing for managers? New managers or even managers with some experience that you would definitely say like this is the thing you need to make sure.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to start with self-awareness. You need to start with yourself, which is why I like to use an assessment like DISC. DISC helps to give people a snapshot from a behavior standpoint of who they are. What are their strengths? What are things they need to look out for? So first, understand yourself. This is who you are. And understand why you do what you do. Once you understand yourself, now it's getting to know the people that report to you. Who are they? What are their strengths? What are the things they struggle with? What motivates them? How do they learn best? All of those things are critical. So yourself first, then your team, understanding your team. That to me is the foundation.
Love it. Theresa, I'm going to jump now into a session where I would say a word and want your first reaction. A word or whatever reaction you have.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Great. So the first one is leadership.
Influence.
Interesting. Tell me more.
Okay. So to me, leaders are influencers who work with and through other people to get stuff done. They're influencers who work with and through other people to get stuff done. Some have titles, some do not. But they have this ability to influence thinking and behavior. That's who the leaders are. Now, we know people with titles who do not fit that definition. We have people who don't have titles that do fit that definition. But leaders are influencers. They get others to rally to get stuff done. And they do get stuff done. Leaders get stuff done.
Yeah. What about the word humor?
Humor. Right away, I think of joy. Right, it's like the first word that popped into my head is joy. I think for me, and I'm probably one of very few people who do such serious work. You know, I'm doing HR work and culture work, and it's really kind of serious. But what I find about humor is it's grounding. It's very grounding because it's all around us. And it's not to be childish or not take things seriously in an inappropriate way, but it's like, let's see the humor in lots of things. Like our meetings are very fun, just very funny, like lots of silly things that you see, like the little things that we go through with Zoom. Can you hear me? Can you see? It's like a seance. Can you see me? Who's the? Oh, Elizabeth, we can see you're in, but we can't. Oh my gosh, like that's funny.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Right, you're on mute. The person's like, and you gotta love that with all these Zoom meetings. I love so much the pets that jump in. There's a cat, and you see like a tail going by, and the dog, and or the kids,
Oh, yeah.
right? Or the husband who's walking behind the wife who's at the dining room table, and he's in like boxer shorts getting the coffee. You're just like, and there it is. But we cannot check our humanity at the door.
Yeah.
When we come to work, we have to bring our whole self, and humor is part of that.
Yeah. And it brought this, right? Like all this craziness where we went through and we're still going through. It brought this human part of us again, right?
Yes,
like,
it did.
Yeah. And you know, I asked about humor. I loved how you framed it on your LinkedIn, being a corporate prophet and a laphologist. Do we say laphologist?
Laphologist. Yes. Well, I was trying to think of what's a short way that, other than saying humorist, because what does that even mean? I don't know. But I thought, let me find a unique way to say that there will be laughter in our work. If I'm coaching someone, we're going to have some laughs. If we're doing a training program, guaranteed, we're going to have some laughs. Even when we do serious HR work, we're still going to have some laughs, because it's just that it's part of my wiring. It's part of who I am.
The last one is potentially obvious, but I love to hear your thoughts about it. Spread love in organizations.
Wow. I think it's giving people common language and anchors that remind them. Like, there isn't a class that I teach, and my clients would come on and say this, there isn't a class that I teach that I don't say, are you coming from a place of love? How would you handle this coming from a place of love? You have an employee who is not meeting their objectives for their job, and you're disappointed, and you've done everything you can to help them. How can you still approach this from a place of love? That, to me, having love in the workplace is reminding people that love is a factor. It's a factor, and it's the kind of love that is a combination of respect for humanity, compassion, doing the best you can for others, putting them first, but making sure that you're taking care of others. Leaders that do this are rock stars. There's one, and Nadia, I actually tried to get him as a guest on your show. By far, one of the most impressive leaders who comes from a place of love. His team is so healthy. They laugh. They can provide each other with constructive feedback in a way that their teammates are grateful. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for helping me see that I can do it in a better way. It is, in all of my years, and I've been doing this so long, one of the healthiest teams I've ever seen. And it goes back to this leader who is wonderful.
Yeah. Starting with love and genuine care.
But I have a number of leaders who all do come from a place of love. A president of a company in Center City comes from a place of love. President of an engineering firm that's, and I point behind me because they're about a few miles up the road, comes from a place of love. And
and this is really what we're trying to do, right? Like those leaders who lead with genuine care, with love, and get phenomenal results, right? Like this is definitely for us the way to lead, and even more in healthcare where we have such a noble purpose, helping patients live better. So many amazing stories worth sharing.
Yeah. Oh, I am honored to share them. And you know, what a blessing that I didn't get a job working at a lab ever, right? I mean, that was kind of my goal, but clearly the universe had a different plan for me, and this is where I'm meant to be, and it's noble work, and I'm grateful.
Oh, totally. Look at how many leaders you're helping and organizations for them to bring even more impact.
It's an honor.
Theresa, any final word of wisdom for leaders around the world?
Come from a place of love, and be clear about, in these situations, I love the 3 questions. What is the outcome you want? How would you respond if you're coming from a place of love? And who is the leader you need to be in this moment? Pause, take a beat, breathe before you make your choices. That's my advice.
Thank you so much, Theresa, for such a genuine discussion.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. And I look forward to meeting you in person. We'll break bread, we'll share a meal, and share stories.
Oh, looking forward with that.
Very good.
Thank you all for listening to Spread Love in Organizations podcast. Follow us on social media and connect with us on SpreadLoveIO.com. And most importantly, spread love in your organizations and spread the word around you to inspire others and amplify this movement our world so desperately needs.